Energy never lies, it only reveals what words try to hide. Let that one settle in your chest for a moment, my friends, because today we're breaking the prettiest lie you've ever been sold, that you need to ask a man how he feels to know where you stand. No, you don't need to ask. You just need to watch. Press that like button, hit subscribe, and don't just do it for me, do it for you, because I'm not here to waste your time. I'm pouring truth into this mic like my life depends on it. And if you've ever felt confused by mixed signals, tired of overthinking his words, wondering if you're reading too much into things, you are not crazy. You're intuitive. You're onto something. So let's unlock what your spirit has known all along. Hey ladies, imagine this. You're in a quiet cafe. He's sitting across from you. He's telling a story, nodding, laughing, making all the right expressions. But your eyes, they drop to his hand resting near yours. And in that split second, he reaches over absent-mindedly and brushes a crumb off your cheek. He doesn't even think about it. He just does it. That's the truth right there. Not in the story he was telling, not in his smile, but in the gesture he wasn't even aware of. See, the unconscious doesn't rehearse, it doesn't perform, it just leaks through the fingertips, through that pause before he pulls away, through the way his body leans in just enough without knowing why. That's where the real man lives, not in the texts, not in the compliments, not even in the I miss yous, but in the way he instinctively moves around your presence. Because a man's true feelings don't show up when he's trying to impress you. They show up when he forgets to perform. That's when the hands speak. That's when the body testifies. And I'm going to be real with you. Some of y'all have been listening to too many words and ignoring the evidence. He says he's busy, but he still double taps your Instagram story at 1 a.m. He says, we're just friends, but his hand lingers on your back a little too long in public. Or maybe he says, I'm not ready for a relationship, but he brings you soup when you're sick and rubs your feet like you're already his wife. Which one are you going to believe, the mouth or the movement? Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And guess what? That applies to love too. You've been trying to understand a man using the language of logic. But connection doesn't speak English, baby. It speaks energy, instinct, vibration. So don't chase words. Don't sit there over-analyzing every emoji and punctuation mark. Watch his hands. Watch how he holds the door. Watch how he places your coffee cup in front of you. Watch how he moves around your softness like it's sacred. Because the man who's truly into you doesn't just talk. He moves different. He feels different. And when you learn to read that language, girl, it's game over. That's when you stop asking for clarity. That's when you know. So right now, I want you to write this in the comments. I'm not asking. I'm daring you. Energy reveals everything. Say it loud, write it proud, stamp it into your story. Because when you stop needing words to feel chosen, when you stop overthinking and start observing, you become the woman who's not just unforgettable. You become undeniable. Press that like button, hit subscribe, and lock in, because what's coming next might just change how you see every man from this day forward. Stay with me. Number 1, the unconscious can't hide its hands. The body never lies, it's the mouth that cleans it up. Let that hit for a second, my friends, because too many of you have been trained to look for answers in the part of him that can be rehearsed, in the voice, in the compliments, in the polished, curated language he learned from someone else. But the truth, the real truth, it lives in what he does without thinking. It lives in the unconscious, and the unconscious doesn't lie. It leaks through breath, through tone, and most of all, through his hands. Imagine this. You're walking side by side. A little crowd builds. It's nothing dramatic, no chaos, just movement, noise, and unfamiliar faces. And suddenly, his hand is at the small of your back, not grabbing, not groping, just there, light, firm guiding. You didn't ask for it. He didn't plan it, but his body moved towards you. That wasn't a calculated gesture. That was protection, that was presence, and that was real. But here's what I know some of you are already thinking. But what if he's just being polite? What if he does that with everyone? What if I'm making it up in my head again? Listen to me closely. The moment you have to talk yourself out of what your body already noticed, that's the moment you've been trained to doubt your own intuition. Let's break this down. When a man speaks, he's choosing. He's filtering, he's adapting, but when he moves, that's instinct, that's programming, that's years of unconscious imprint surfacing for a fraction of a second in the way he touches the side of your waist when you walk into a room, or how his fingers brush your knuckles when he hands you your coffee. These are not shallow signals, they are somatic codes, subtle downloads from a part of him he can't edit. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious is like a shadow. It follows us everywhere, shows up in every interaction, and reveals more than we dare admit. So when a man's hand reaches for you, not as a performance but as an extension of presence, that's not a mistake. That's the language of emotion before it's verbalized. And yet you've been taught to only trust what's said, to wait for the "I miss you," the "I'm thinking about you," the "I love you" text. But what if I told you he already said it? In the way he touches your shoulder and doesn't rush away, in the pause before he lets go of your fingers, in the way he stands just close enough for you to feel his presence, but not so close that it demands anything in return. Attraction doesn't announce itself with a microphone. It whispers, it moves. And those hands, those gestures you keep second guessing, might be the loudest truth you'll ever receive. So stop asking his mouth to do the heavy lifting when his body already gave you the answer. And here's what I want you to remember. Presence doesn't pretend. Write that in the comments if it stirred something in you. Say it loud, let it echo. Because the moment you start trusting what your soul already recognizes, that's when you shift from hoping to knowing. You don't need to become a detective, just become observant. Because once you learn how to read the language of instinct, the game changes. You'll start noticing the hand that lingers, the posture that softens, the reach that wasn't for the glass, it was for you. And what we're getting into next? Oh, it's about to get surgical, because there's one gesture that outshines even the words "I love you." Stay with me. Number 2, the gesture that outranks "I love you." Anyone can say "I love you," but only a few know how to show it without ever opening their mouth. Let that land, my friends, because the truth is, most people don't lack words, they lack weight. They throw around "I love you" like loose change, hoping it buys them time, attention, forgiveness. But the ones who truly care, they don't just say it, they move like it. Let's slow it down. He says he cares about you, but when he sees you reaching for your coat, does he toss it toward you from across the room like a favor? Or does he walk over, lift it gently, and wrap it around your shoulders, adjusting the collar so the wind doesn't hit your neck? That's not a line. That's not romance from a script. And that's a man who understands how to speak with his hands, with presence, with protection. Because love doesn't always come in grand gestures or poetic texts. Sometimes it comes in the way he stirs the sugar into your tea and remembers you like it light. Sometimes it's in how he opens the door, not because you can't, but because he wants to honor you. That's not weakness, that's awareness. And yet too many of you have been conditioned to dismiss those moments, to brush them off, and you think, oh, he's just being nice. No, my friend, he's not just being nice, he's being intentional. Because in a world full of men who only show up when they want something, the one who moves with softness when no one's watching, that's rare, that's real. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." So if his words say, "I care," but his actions are rushed, rough, and inattentive, there's a disconnect. But if his hands are steady, if his touch is conscious, if his small gestures reflect quiet devotion, then you're not just hearing affection, you're feeling reverence. That's the kind of man who doesn't perform for the crowd, he performs for the moment. So write this in the comments right now: reverence is louder than romance. And say it like you mean it, because when you start paying attention to how he moves in the small, ordinary seconds, you'll stop getting fooled by the big, empty promises. And coming up next, we're stepping into the fire, because when conflict hits and the masks fall, that's when the real man stands up or disappears. Stay with me. Number 3, when he doesn't pull away, even when he's mad. The truest love isn't found in the kiss, it's found in the conflict, in the storm when the fire rises, and he still won't walk away. That one's for the women who've confused peace with perfection, who think if he really loved you, you'd never argue. My friends, hear me now. Arguments don't destroy real connection, they reveal it. Because it's not about whether tension exists, it's about what survives when it does. Picture this. You're in it. Voices raised, emotions boiling. Maybe you said something sharp, maybe he did. The energy shifts, silence threatens to fall. But instead of turning cold, his hand reaches for yours. Maybe just a brush, maybe just his fingertips tapping your knee under the table. He's not even looking at you, but his body, it's still with you. That right there, that's not weakness, that's love pushing through ego. Because here's what nobody tells you. Anyone can hold your hand when things are good, when the mood is soft, when the lights are low, when nobody's upset. But the man who can reach for you while you're mad at him, that's a man who values connection over control. That's a man who's letting his nervous system scream, but still chooses to stay present. You see, Jung said the shadow is everything you refuse to see about yourself. And during conflict, that shadow walks into the room, uninvited, loud, raw. So what does he do with it? Does he clench his fists, slam doors, walk out and disappear for 3 days? Or does he stay, maybe not perfectly, maybe not quietly, but connected, open palms, eye contact, a pause before he speaks? That, my friends, is emotional strength, and I know the fear. But what if I take that hand and he still walks away later? What if I misread it? You won't. Because real connection, you feel it. It doesn't come dressed in perfection, it comes in consistency. So stop looking for a love that never shakes. Start recognizing the one that shakes but holds on anyway. Write this in the comments if you've ever felt that kind of tension and truth collide. Presence over pride. Say it like a mantra, own it like a lesson. Because that's what mature love does. It doesn't avoid fire, it walks through it with you. And what's coming next might just make you rethink every moment of silence you've ever shared with him, because the next gesture we're decoding, it doesn't speak, it settles. Stay with me. Number 4, the fingertips that remember you. Real connection leaves fingerprints on the soul, and the body remembers even when the mind drifts. That one's for the women who've ever wondered if their presence really lingers when they're silent, if the man beside them is with them, or just next to them. My friends, the deepest kind of intimacy doesn't need attention to survive. It moves in stillness. It lives in the quiet, and it speaks in the fingertips. Picture this. You're on the couch. The TV's playing some documentary he's halfway into. You're not talking. You're not even touching at first. And then, without thinking, his hand finds yours. His thumb starts tracing circles on your knuckle. Not fast, not focused, just present. That's not game, that's not seduction, that's not him trying. That's his nervous system remembering you. Because when a man is truly connected to you, when he's bonded not just to your body, but to your being, his hands don't rest the same. They move differently, they listen, and they reach out not for stimulation, but for stability. You've become his calm, his rhythm, his grounding frequency in a world that never stops buzzing. And some of you I know might ask, but what if it's just habit? What if he's not even aware of it? Exactly, that's the point. The unconscious doesn't rehearse, it repeats. It holds on to what makes it feel safe and lets that safety move through the body. So if his hands are still reaching for you when nothing's being said, if he plays with your fingers during silence, if his touch becomes a slow dance with no music, that's not coincidence, that's imprint. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. That's what's happening when his body remembers you in silence. You've transformed something inside him. And now his body is rehearsing the connection like it's part of his routine breathing. So here's your affirmation. Write it down in the comments and say it like you've earned it. I am unforgettable energy. Because you're not just a woman to him, your rhythm, your memory, your medicine. He may not always say it, he may not always understand it, but when his thumb moves across your skin without thought, that's his soul whispering, you're still here. And up next, we're stepping into the most primal part of masculine love. Because the next gesture, it doesn't just remember you, it guards you. Stay with me. Number 5, the protector's signal. A man's truest feelings don't always shout, they shield. My friends, love doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it looks like a man adjusting his pace to match yours. Sometimes it looks like a gentle touch on your back when the crowd presses in. It looks like awareness. And that, right there, that's the protector's signal. The one gesture that speaks volumes without saying a single word. Picture this. You're walking together through a busy street, people everywhere, horns blaring, the usual city chaos. He doesn't say much, but suddenly you feel it. His hand gently resting on your lower back, not pressing, not pulling, just there, steady, subtle, protective. He's not performing. He's positioning, instinctively adjusting himself between you and the world. That's not a pickup move. That's not about claiming you. That's his masculine blueprint kicking in. That's I've got you in body language form. You see, we've been sold a lie that romance is about roses and serenades, long captions and loud gestures. But real masculine affection, it's quieter, it's grounded, and it shows up when no one's looking. This isn't about ownership. It's not about dominance. It's about direction, about energy. When a man protects you in small, consistent ways without being asked, that's not control. That's care. That's the guardian archetype Jung spoke about, the part of the masculine psyche designed to preserve, provide, protect. And I already know the voice that creeps in. But what if he does that with everyone? What if it doesn't mean anything? My friend, energy never lies. You know when that touch is automatic, unconscious, woven into his awareness of you. When he reaches out, not to display, but to connect. That's not random. That's recognition. Recognition of your value and his role in keeping it safe. So the next time he subtly shifts you to the inside of the sidewalk, the next time his hand finds your back just before the curb, don't brush it off and don't overthink it. Feel it. Because that's him saying without words, I see you, I've got you, and you matter in this moment. Write this down in the comments, like you know you deserve this kind of love. I am worth protecting. Say it out loud, stamp it into your heart, because the woman who believes she's worthy of that signal, she attracts the kind of man who doesn't just adore her, he defends her, even when she doesn't realize she needs defending. And coming up next, we're dropping into silence, the kind that doesn't distance but draws closer. Because when a man listens with his hands, that's when you know he's truly present. Stay with me. Number 6, when his hands build for you. Don't watch his wallet, watch his hands. Because love doesn't always swipe a card. Sometimes it swings a hammer. That's the truth, my friends. In a world obsessed with luxury and loud gestures, we've been taught to measure love by price tags. But the deepest kind of love, the kind that endures storms, silence, and seasons, that love builds, not just emotionally, but physically, brick by brick, screw by screw, one act of intention at a time. Picture this. You mention offhand that your shelf is wobbly. You don't make it a big deal. You even say, it's fine, I'll call someone. But the next day, without a word, he shows up with tools, not flashy, not filmed for TikTok, just present, focused, kneeling on your floor, tightening bolts, aligning edges, wiping dust. He doesn't talk much while he does it, but every movement says, you live here, your peace matters, let me make this right. That's not just fixing a shelf, that's building safety, that's building belonging. Carl Jung once said, the creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. When a man uses his hands to create something for you, not for praise, not for validation, but out of inner drive, that's his unconscious choosing you. And he might not write poems, he might not say, I love you every night, but when he tightens that screw, when he makes that tea, when he assembles your furniture or adds the final touch to your space, that's love with spine. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if he just likes doing stuff? What if that's how he treats everyone? Sure, maybe he's handy, maybe he's helpful. But when a man personalizes that effort for you, when he builds your comfort without you needing to ask, that's not just habit, that's devotion in motion. Love doesn't always come with big announcements. Sometimes it shows up as him quietly adjusting the chair you sit in, replacing a bulb you didn't know was out, or fixing something you gave up on. He doesn't need applause because the real ones don't perform. They provide. So say this out loud and write it in the comments with full ownership. I attract action, not performance. Because you don't want a man who only knows how to talk. You want a man whose hands move in service to your peace. Not because you demand it, but because it's in his nature to build where love lives. And what's next? Oh, it's where things get quiet again. But not the awkward kind, the kind where his fingers speak what his mouth doesn't dare. Stay with me. Number 7, the energy between touches. It's not the kiss that makes you remember him. It's the pause right after, when the air still feels like him. Let that settle in, my friends, because most people look for fireworks in the obvious places, the hug, the kiss, the grip of a hand, but the real magic, it happens in between, in the echo of the touch, in that microscopic moment when he could have pulled away, but didn't. When he lets the space between your skin and his become a whisper that lingers long after he's gone. Picture this, you're saying goodbye. Maybe it's just a quick hug, but something about it stays with you. Why? Because he didn't just hug and release. He paused, just long enough. His hand didn't drop immediately. His fingers brushed your arm as he pulled away, slow, like time forgot to move for a second. And your body, it noticed. Your soul, it stored it. That, right there, is the energy between touches, the invisible signature he leaves on your nervous system. See, it's not just about the contact, it's about the charge, the memory it imprints. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, a realm where symbols and sensations speak louder than logic. And in romance, that in-between space is one of those symbols. It's a language your spirit recognizes before your brain catches up. And I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I imagined it? What if it didn't mean anything? Let me tell you this. If you felt it, it meant something. Energy doesn't lie. If his touch made your breath pause, your heart stutter, and your thoughts fall quiet, then something transferred in that silence. And it wasn't performance, it wasn't pickup, it was presence. Because a man who is emotionally drawn to you doesn't touch you like he's checking off a box. He touches you like he's still trying to memorize the shape of your energy. He lingers. He savors. He lets time stretch just enough to make sure you feel him even after he's gone. Write this down in the comments like you own it. I am unforgettable in stillness. Say it. Feel it. Because when you carry that kind of self-awareness, you stop chasing affection. You become the pause he replays in his mind when everything else goes quiet. And next, we're going even deeper. Because the final gesture we're about to uncover isn't about touch at all. It's about what his silence does to the space between you. Stay with me. Number 8, when a man's gesture changes you. The deepest touch doesn't stir your skin, it settles your soul. That's the truth they never taught you, my friends. Because for too long, love has been sold as fireworks, butterflies, and breathlessness. But let me tell you something real. The right man, the mature man, doesn't leave you dizzy. He leaves you stable. The gesture that matters most, it's not the one that excites you. It's the one that calms you. Picture this. You've had a long day. Everything feels off. You're not even sure how to explain it. You're quiet, distant, not your usual self. And instead of asking a million questions, instead of trying to fix you, he just reaches over and takes your hand. No words, no pressure, just presence. And suddenly your shoulders drop, your breath deepens. Not because he gave you a solution, but because he gave you a safe space. That right there is a gesture that changes you. Not because it overwhelms you, but because it regulates you. Your nervous system softens, your spirit exhales, you feel held, not handled. See, a man can touch you 1,000 times and never truly reach you. But one gesture, when it comes from the right energy, it can anchor something in you that no one else has ever touched. And he's not just holding your hand, he's holding your peace. Carl Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. And when a man's gesture turns down the volume in your mind and turns up the clarity in your heart, that's not just affection, that's alignment. That's not a moment of connection, that's a mirror, one that shows you who you become when you're safe. And I know some of you are wondering, but what if I'm not used to this kind of stillness? What if it feels unfamiliar? Good. That means it's different. That means it's real. Because real love doesn't create anxiety, it dissolves it. So write this in the comments, mark it like a declaration. I choose peace over chaos. Because from this day forward, You're not chasing chemistry that burns out. You're calling in energy that grounds, that holds you steady, that brings you home. And if this part moved you, if something inside you softened just by hearing it, press that like button, hit subscribe, and stay locked in. Because when love stops performing and starts anchoring, that's when you know you're not just being touched, you're being kept. And here's the truth, my friends. If you've made it this far, you already feel it. This wasn't about hands. This was about presence, about energy, about the kind of love that doesn't just touch your skin, it touches your spirit. So the next time you're wondering how he really feels, don't listen harder. Watch closer, because gestures don't lie. If this opened your eyes or anchored your heart, press that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with a woman who deserves this kind of love. Because we're not here for surface stories. We're here for soul-level clarity. Stay grounded, stay glowing.